Hello there. I played this game for 3.5 years, including time as a game tester for 6 months. Pretty huge Star Wars fan, and I just want to express my opinion about this game because about the good things and the bad things. Here in November 2011, we were all pretty excited for the head start that was about to launch. Of course, you know, some of us been game testing this game for quite a few months, and we know how this game was going to turn out. We were hopeful, but some things turned out to be good and some things turned out to be really, really bad. And some things are still good and some things are really bad, so I'm going to elaborate more on this now. Now remember, I'm only going to blame management and never the people working on the ground floor making this MMO, because it's only management who should have blame for the really bad things that happened to Star Wars SWTOR and still happen to this day when it comes to the negative aspect of this little review. So you remember this? We were all so excited and trying to get into the Old Republic game tester. Head start on Twitter and other sites. People were so happy and excited, you know. The November pre-launch open beta weekends, that was fun. People were screaming and yelling and so excited for the game. From the website, servers are going down and gonna come up soon after the patch. One of my first big characters as a game tester, early spring 2011, was Commando and Warrior, pretty much every class. But I played in the end, I played the Trooper the most, as I really loved playing a Commando. It was really awesome class to play as a game tester. I just want to touch on pre-launch. As a game tester, pretty much every feedback given to BioWare were ignored, no matter what anyone believes. I was on the forums. People were screaming at the developers, why don't you listen? Why don't you change things? You're only changing it for the worse. They were constantly changing builds every few weeks just to test out things, and pretty much all of the game tester feedback were ignored. And this is also the main reason why so many huge issues, bugs were in the game when the game launched, at least a year too early. Remember everything about Eternity Vault being bugged, the loot, everything. Endgame PvP was a complete disaster. 50s crushing level 10s with PvP gear, champions bags, RNG, the list goes on. It was pretty much a disaster. Now many game testers felt that you know, BioWare was laughing at us for real. I mean, you know, when you don't take the feedback, the actual feedback from the players, that's so vital. You pretty much, you know, ignore everybody else as well. So this went on, and of course there were many good things about Star Wars SWTOR, you know, really good things, but there were equally many bad things. And people have you know, when the most hardcore people scream out to the rest of the players, this is bad, it sucks, you know, go away, run, it will spread to every news site. And remember, it did big time, and those people will listen, you know. They will always listen to the most hardcore competitive players and what's going on and spread the word. So, and we were there, and we remember all the sites, all the negativity and the backlash BioWare got in the first 3-4 months, you know. So, and they didn't really respond to fans either. I mean, there was Steven Revel's community management. I mean, it took forever to get any response on the forum for pretty much everything we asked for. Remember, the operatives were having fun. Ilum and all those issues went unheard of. Nobody answered. You know, it was like I think George Zoller used like 2-3 months just to answer people and saying, we're gonna look into the operatives and scoundrels killing people in one global cooldown. I mean, things took forever, and when you don't answer people right away and say, we're looking into it, we're gonna fix it, we promise, just hang on, people will leave. End of story. And they did. From December to spring, they pretty much lost half the player base. I was on Ilum as a PvP player every single day, seeing my friends leave the game because the Imperials were ruffle stomping us like they did on 9 out of 10 servers. I mean, there were 200 plus servers, and the imps were 3 to 4 outnumbering us Republics, and they were constantly just slaughtering us, with everyone having 1 to 5 FPS on the server. And BioWare didn't do anything. They didn't re-roll, you know, the valor that was exploited. They didn't do anything. They didn't put a cap on how many imps can be in one instance, let's say 100 and 100 Republic. They didn't do any of those things. It was a disaster. And it took forever and ever, and summer came, and it was like, yeah, they turned off Ilum and they killed it. Instead of fixing it, you know, changing the objectives and fixing it, they killed Ilum, and everyone. I was in 3 guilds during these 4 or 5 months. Everybody left on Republic. Everybody. On Legions of Letho by, I think it was June, July, I was pretty much alone like everybody else. I mean, it was disaster of epic proportions. They said they had 1.7 plus million people playing the game in December 2011, and by next autumn you had like, I don't know if the game had 50,000 people, 100,000, I don't know, you know. BioWare knows, but we don't know. But all I know, all the servers were dead, empty. 20 people on fleet. People were hurtling up together. It was a disaster. That, you know, it's like the biggest disaster ever in gaming. You know, people have said this so many times. It hadn't been for the Star Wars name attached to it, this game would have been wiped from the face of the earth already by March. I mean, seriously, it would have been annihilated. Now, of course, they started working frantically on the free-to-play model by this time, and some of us actually stayed around because there were nothing else to play, and you know, pretty much every new MMO theme park sucked these days. But Star Wars had its little good things, and some of us kept playing. You know, we believed in BioWare that would fix this. And by the time of free-to-play came, of course, a lot of people came back. You know, there were 3-4 instances on fleet. Lots of people came back. Of course, the funny thing was the game was hardly changed. Sure, we would get Macab and all those things, but fundamentally, the most things about the game was not changed whatsoever. I'm going to talk more about those things later on. But a few updates, you know, the legacy system 1.1, 1.2. I mean, there was updates that they didn't really do anything for the base of the game, you know. I mean, friends list is still bad. There's no in-game calendar to help the social aspects. I mean, there's so many things that is so bad about those things that keep people interested in the social aspects of a game. They were not there, but they fixed it free to play. I'm going to talk more about free to play later, because that deserves some scrutiny. Now, this video perfectly explains one of the fundamental flaws about Star Wars SWTOR: the lack of scope, freedom, immersion, and those things that MMO gamers, RPG gamers really care about. Imagine this as a trooper. This was me in game testing. I've been crawling through the corridors on Nar Shaddaa, Coruscant, linear, so tight. I was like, Jesus, don't this game ever open up? I want to open up, you know, explore and run off into the wild and, you know, explore things and have an adventure and hidden NPCs with quests and awesome rewards, you know. And I just run off like this. It was the first thing I did in game testing that summer. I run off like this, right? I was like, yay, it's Tatooine, so, you know, like the movies, you know, so cool, like so many. And this happened. I was like, what's happening? Why am I taking damage? Of course, we only had 10k health then, so I would already be dead. But I was running like this, and I'm like, I didn't understand what was happening. And I did it so many times. I kept dying and dying until I finally figured out what? Exhaust zone? They actually limited the world like they did in KOTOR. It was like a slap in the face. It was like BioWare saying, you know what? Deal with it. We don't have time to make an open game. It's linear, no freedom, move on. Now, so of course, as I kept leveling, you know, I was like, I came to the planets, Belsavis, Corellia, Voss, you see here, and other, from especially mid-level and up, from Tatooine and up, and it was copy-paste mobs. every 10, 20, 30, 40 meters, all over the place. Like you can see here, all over the place. You could not do open world PvP because you would aggro everything. There was no freedom. Everything was on rails. For some reason there were roads everywhere, like you see here. It's the same on all the planets. It made it very confusing. I mean, when you play planets, you know, like Balmora and stuff, you just want to like quit. It's so painful and frustrating. One thing is you're grinding mobs. You're grinding extreme amount of mobs, you know, just to get enough XP, because the XP is so low. So by the time you finish your grinding, you can hardly remember what you're doing in your personal story, which people want to do the personal story and then do, you know, side quests later and enjoy the side quests, you know, as they have completed whatever journey they're gone through, so they can enjoy the side quests and story more, like flashpoints later on, you know. So of course, by the time people got to 50, people were exhausted. They were like, I can't take it anymore, you know. And they had to do all the flashpoints, and they had one raid, and that raid was buggy, beyond buggy. And just the idea of leveling another tune on the same faction, doing the same exact quest, everything, because all the quests are the same. 97% of everything you do in a quest is clicking on things under the disguise of taking down shields or locating something or picking up a, you know, a shield, blah blah, whatever. You know, everything you do is click 3 or 4 objects all the time in every quest. That's all you do in every quest while you're leveling up, and it's exhausting. So again, it's like, you know what, deal with it. You know, just grind, because that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna grind. And the little things that completely, like, is so silly in the game. I'm just gonna use a couple of examples like this. Why place 2 mailboxes here? This beautiful scenery on Alderaan. It looks so beautiful, and you paste these goddamn mailboxes like this outside. It's so ugly. You can't do anything. You can't roleplay. You can't do anything. You can't enjoy it. It's horrible. And this, why place this? You can't remove that thing. It's like you gotta look at this for the rest of your life in this game. Like that quest, you know, like no escape. So we are forced to look at that rail shooter quest objective. Now, of course, there are 2 huge important things about SWTOR. It's like so incredibly well done. One thing is the scenery, like the skies, the buildings, the nature, you know, the mountains, the backgrounds. They're really, really well made and really beautiful. And the other thing is, of course, is the ambient background sounds you hear. Very immersive, really awesome. You know, they really make the game much better than it is. And of course, the third thing is really the best thing, which is absolutely brilliant by the Lucasfilm composers. So that's the music. The Star Wars Tour soundtracks are incredible. I'm not talking about those bad cantina music. I'm talking about the planetary, you know, the music, you know, the character music. Everything is beautiful. The music in Star Wars Tour is incredible. You know, there's a reason why you get so many people on YouTube just listening to the soundtracks or at home, you know, download it. They're absolutely amazing. So you combine the very immersive factors of the music and the actual worlds. If you take away the copy-paste mobs everywhere and those things, then you can look at just the world someplace, and you don't have to look at those mobs. The worlds themselves are immensely beautiful. The planets, you know, everything. It's very beautiful. So that's one of the things that actually a lot of people enjoy in this game. It's a closed game. It's very linear, but it gives you the feeling of that the game is much larger because of it. You know, it's not like other bad theme parks where everything is so small and that's it. You know, like the game is actually big because you are on so many planets. Because there are so many planets, it actually makes the game much bigger than it actually is. So it works, you know, it rhymes with each other as you go on, planet to planet. And of course you change the theme of the music to each planet. I mean, those things are beautiful. I mean, so a lot of players, you know, like us, when we first played the game in game testing, were like blown away how when you get to each planet, things are beautiful. And things are very unique, you know. Other MMOs try this, like, you know, they have a big map and they change the scenery, but it's still the same planet. It's so boring. It's it's silly how they change, you know, 1 kilometer and everything is changed. It's just stupid. But in Star Wars Tour, all these things work perfectly because of it. Because there's so many planets. They didn't just have 2 quest planets while you're leveling, you know, they have multiple I think it's 12 planets. That is actually a really good plus with this game. That keeps new players playing the game and want to see the next planets while they progress. Also, another thing is, of course, the voiceovers are very popular with everyone. I see people on all the planets, even high level new people all over, they stand there and they listen to the voiceover because they are invested in the stories. They love, even for side quests, they listen to the voiceovers, and they love them, and they are really, really good. And another huge thing about this game that was a success was the companions. Some people were complaining pre-launch, I want to play alone, but you don't hear that complaint. You know, people love the companions, even hardcore PvP players. They love to dress them up and, you know, take them with them. So that was also a huge success with Star Wars Tour. Now, one of the things that bothers me the most about Star Wars Tour to this day is you can't really land on the planets that were shown in these pictures pre-launch. You have these terrible, disastrous, badly designed space stations all over the place, either on ground or these orbital space stations, copy pasted, you know. They're horrible. I mean, people, if you could land on a planet like this, where you run through you know, blue, red, shield, whatever, which is your own instance, that would have been really awesome. Like you see here, the bounty hunter ship on Drummond Cause, but instead we are forced into these terrible, for the most part, you know, these orbital stations. It makes no sense whatsoever for you to leave your ship above a planet, especially in war, and take a shuttle down. It's only a complete idiot would do that in the Star Wars universe. It makes no sense. I mean, look at this. It's beautiful. You could have had a blue screen in the front there, so you can walk out in your own instance. It would have been perfect. You know, have some super guards outside. You know, so you couldn't get ganked. You couldn't get into your ship. I mean, it's just they skimped every corner they could, you know, shortcut they did, you know, and they made the game worse for it. This is what I mean, you know. They didn't change the game from free to play until now. They didn't change the game for the worse, and that's really upsetting. Even to Fess here, he's like blown away by this pure stupidity of not opening up the game, the worlds, making it more immersive, you know, give players more freedom and remove all the damn mobs. Now on to another thing they haven't changed, which really should be changed, and that's the most horrible, terrible social place ever in the MMO. I think that's Fleet. I can't begin to tell you how many people I've listened to complaining about Fleet. It's mind-boggling, you know. I heard people say, I'm leaving this game. I can't stand standing on Fleet anymore, like some guy said on Massively, like a zombie. You know, you stand around in the inner circle doing nothing. There's nothing to do on Fleet. They didn't even bother putting things in the walls here to, you know. It's horrible. It's the worst social hub ever. Like other games, they can, you know, like Starting Online, have incredible, unique social hubs. In Star Wars Tour, like the Rebublic one is a bad copy paste of the Imperial one, which looks nice better. It's round, so people after 3 years still don't know where I'm going, which is epic fail. You never make a round social hub. It's horrible. It looks the same. It's terrible. You just stand there. You know, you pick up like 2 quests, like a few people. You pick up 2 quests. That's it. They couldn't even make real quest givers, people that's, you know, gives you orders. That this is the order for today, sir, or Jedi Council wants you to do this. You know, go do PvP. It's just like a box you click on. That's it. You stand there like an idiot. There's nothing to do there. It's the worst social hub, and people in general hate it. They loathe it. It's the worst place, and the view from the windows are horrible. Look at this. What the fuck? It's like so low res. It's like a 1993 game. Look at this. It's horrible. Go check out Star Trek Online and look out the view on Sol Space Earth Dock. It's incredible. It's 100 times better than this. fleet should be eradicated, should be deleted from the game. It was a horrible thing to put in. People should progress from level 10 and go from capital worlds, from starter worlds to capital worlds. It would be perfect transit. Instead, they are forced to do the terrible thing and go through fleet. Now, for this next one, it's you know, you want to smash your head through the wall, because this is Star Wars. The minigames are one of the most integral, vital aspects for everyone. The ability, you know, that you can do something between, you know, raids, flashpoints, PvP, whatever. You know, you can just chill and play minigames. There's no minigames in Star Wars SWTOR. They just added a horrible, disastrous thing, like one of those US slot machines, which was a disaster. It's horrible, you know. There's no real playing with credits, you know, like real prices. It's playing against PCs or players. There's no minigames in a Star Wars MMO. Who launches in almost 2012 a Star Wars MMO with no minigames in cantinas, which is so important? Passag, you know, all these things. And there's no... They claim they couldn't do pod racing. Well, they have a pre-Jurassic game engine, you know. It's probably the worst game engine of all time, but still, it's like they couldn't make board games, you know, that pops up on the screen. You can play other players in cantinas. They just don't get it. They just don't understand how vitally important minigames are to the Star Wars universe. It's... Even now in Star Wars Rebels, you can see them playing minigames. It's so fun, you know. People love it. They can do something other than just grind. It's super important to have something fun to do in between. And there's no pod racing, of course. They've, you know, swoop racing. Nope, nothing to do there. There's nothing to bet on, like a you know, tablet with different NPCs you can click and choose. Like every Saturday you can have a huge pot. And all the players could race. I mean, you know, NPCs could race, and the computer could make up a winner or third place. You can bet on odds and everything. It could be so fun. It doesn't take that much effort, really, if you make it in a way like that, where you play NPCs. And each weekends they could be like bigger or smaller prizes, and some mini games. I mean, it's that's what I'm saying. You stand on fleet. There's nothing to do. You stand there like a zombie. You get nothing to do. You reach end game. You queue for ranked, which is, you know, ranked nobody, because there's no cross server. You know, there's no. They didn't actually have cross server. So there is, you know, people don't queue up, you know, because you play the same teams all over, you know, every day for years, and they just leave because they always lose or whatever. So, you know, the more accessibility you have, of course, the more people will play it, and everyone see how fun it is. More people will come and play. It's the same old story about developers. They actually, you know, these developers, they think like it's 1999. They just don't get it. So the social aspects, they pretty much failed on the Star Wars tour when it comes to these things. So they replaced them with tactical flashpoints. Now, like many, I understand that BioWare only have a small fixed budget from EA, even though they use EA as a huge cash cow for EA, you know, with the gambling bags and all those things. And it's like they always do these same things: a daily area, one new war zone every 2 years, a disaster PvP, and they do these new planets and, you know, these 2 updates every year, digital updates, which a lot of the things about them is really good. Like the last one, Shadow Revan, is planets are fantastic. The NPCs, the voiceover, the stories are great. Apart from the start, you know, that was pretty bad because the lags on the planets, and the Revan was bugged and those things. You know, the actual update itself, if you look at it, you know, by itself, it was really, really, really good in every way, almost. Apart from PvP, there was no PvP, so the revamp to skill tree was not a PvP update. So of course PvP players are constantly been neglected in this game for 3 years now. PvP has been a joke, which is sad, because they had the potential to be the best PvP in the West, if any MMO period, if they done things right. I remember launch, every PvP server was jammed full of people, you know, came here for PvP, and of course there was no support for PvP, so they left. Like dueling arenas, you know, imagining having dueling arenas with actual really awesome prizes and some love from the devs. They removed 8 vs 8, which was a disaster, because a lot of people on the PvP servers actually playing 8 vs 8, no matter what the devs believe. I don't know if they can actually have 2 arenas and a normal Warzone at the same time. I don't know, but it's the lack of attention to PvP in SWTOR is horrible. Now, contrary to popular belief, PvP in MMOs is actually really huge and popular, like proven in other games. And in launch, we know how many people are playing PvP in SWTOR. It was a lot of people. I mean, it was jam-packed of PvP people. And of course, when you don't, you don't talk to the player base. You don't show them any love. You don't, give them feedback on the forum. You wait several months, and people think that, from everything from the backstabbing operative to assassins being extremely overpowered now for 3 years. I mean, we don't give any feedback and tell people, we're gonna fix it. Relax, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna change these classes and actually do it. People will stay, but if you don't say anything, people will leave, and they did in this game. They oh geez, how many people left this game? Like, as I said, Commando DPS, a disaster, so bad. I would duel the devs 24/7, live stream, on a Shadow or something, and I would crush them. They would never win on a Commando DPS in a million years. I would ruffle stomp them. They just don't understand the classes or how to play, and they look at charts and metrics. They don't have a clue what they're doing when it comes to class balance in PvP in this game. And flavor of the months, and I mean, like now 3.0 class balance is pretty much a disaster, so they don't support PvP like they should have to keep the people around. And of course, like many knows, when one side, the Imperials, they win most matches, they get more commendations, more credits, more everything. They get gear faster, more valor, and they level up everything faster, and they crush the other team even more. That was the main reason from launch and up until free to play. Pretty much, most people left PvP in this game. They had one entire faction that was destroyed because they were outnumbered 3 to 5 to 7 to 1. I know, I was there, and I could see what people said on the servers. It was a disaster, and BioWare did nothing. They did absolutely nothing. They did not reassure people. They didn't give a buff to the other faction. They didn't do anything. And this total lack of communication is still going on. PvP forum, I think you can count every PvP dev who's ever talked in there. It's like 20 times in 3 years. It's terrible. They have no idea what they're doing, these people in charge. That's what I'm saying. I blame management like everybody else. Management in SWTOR, on PvP, on vital issues have been a disaster. And the communication from the so-called community team, it's pretty laughable. It's a joke, and it's always have been. From the first one was actually good. The first who was before Steven Reed. Joe Gonzalez was Ghost. Moscow, well, he's like, do I have to talk? Okay, let's answer this thread. Tate, go talk to these people, say something, and let's leave and come back in 4 days and say 2 more things. And this thing still goes on. It doesn't improve, and it's people pick up on that. Bad communication is terrible. The other PvP where they fail on is GSF, Galactic Starfighter. They dumbed it down first. No joystick support. It's a third-person view, like a bad, 1990s game. They made it a gear grind, which was a huge mistake. So people have a big time getting into it and getting crushed by the veterans there. So even less people queue up and it dies out, like you have now. It's terrible. It's horrible how they neglect this, and they do the mistakes. And how can you not understand how important in like Star Wars fighting, like joysticks and first-person view. There's a reason why Star Citizen now have, 700,000 people want to play that game. A lot of those people on the forums are from SWTOR because, and there's no PvE. How could it make Galactic Starfighter and have no huge open map PvP with objectives and the other faction you can play against, NPCs and fun? and have a lot of dailies there. People would love. I would do it. Everybody would do it. It would be fun, you know. You can have one area where free flight, where PvP in a huge area, and with asteroids and moons and everything, you know. You can do so much there. But the problem with BioWare is that they don't do quality of life improvements after they put something out. They hardly do. They just forget about it, they move on, and they have the money to make another update, and they make that, and they put it out, and they do maybe a few bug fixes, and they move on, you know. It's like social aspects of the game. No guild calendars. This is so important. Why is there no guild calendar so people can see, well, we were doing this Friday, I can sign up, you know, yay. It's like, I can't even right click on my friends list and talk to people. It's like there's no quality of life improvements. So that's what I mean. Now I'm going to talk about another thing, which is, this is Star Wars, right? Well, is it because this is what people think about Jedi Knights all around the world when they cosplay as a Jedi? You know, kids, adults. Jedi Order has been pretty much the same for 25,000 plus years. They have worn the same thing because they're agile. They don't need armor, they have the Force, you know. And BioWare, you know, this is what people think when they think about a Jedi, you know. It's always the same. Iconic looking outfits, you know, comfortable Jedi Knights, guardians, you know, of the galaxy. And it's the same wherever you go in the world, you know. A Jedi is a Jedi, you know. You can make some cool armors, sure. But if you don't give people, half the players, I'm sure, at least plays pretty regularly Jedi Knights in Star Wars Tour. Pre-launch, we would see real Jedi costumes, you know, like in the timelines, etc., which, you know, they have been around forever. But the BioWare developers, for some reason, have no communication with the people in charge of making the armors. Like this, hoods down, and good-looking armors. Like this KOTOR, plenty of Jedi robes, right? Made by BioWare and stuff. Like, this was I wanted this on my Guardian, right? Hood down, again. They put everything hood up when they launched the game. So, this is what they put out. Hood up, and looks worse, different colors. And you can hardly get it. It's a drop, it's random, it costs too much. And they put this Robocop armor as a legacy. It costs a lot. You cannot take the hood away without putting on this ugly Robocop goggle. Now, the image in the middle is some fan made is what we were told we were gonna look like, a Sentinel, right? Really cool, hood down, really awesome, right? The side thing are what we got after launch. It's what is that? Some sort of metal samurai transformer? What? It looks like crap. This is what we got. Somebody took over the armor department and everything pre-launch and changed everything for the worse. One thing is that they dumbed down crafting horribly. But you know, they changed everything about the, you know, for the worse. People look like idiots. You know, and even now they put out skimpy outfits, and so for some reason a lot of Sith outfits that look pretty good. I suspect the devs are pretty, they favor the Empire still after 3, 4, 5 years. But anyways, as a Jedi Knight, I look like crap. Look at this next image. What the hell? This is a Jedi to BioWare. Some sort of bug. Again here, same thing. This is what we got. A lot of people play Jedi Knight, you know. You know, one thing you have that silly light, medium, and heavy armor, but you know, you have this. I mean, people. I cannot tell you how many people I talk to. It's like, what, do I have to wear this? Are there no real armors in chat? They scream, "Can I look like a Jedi? Are there no real armors?" People give up. It's like, you know, screw this. I don't want to play this. I'm leaving. They're not gonna go complaining on forums. Most people don't use the forums. After like 2.5 years, they gave us this like a level 1 super basic short sleeve belt on the outside. Terrible, you know. Feet are always white when you put a dye in it. It's horrible, right? This is what we got after 2.5 years of complaining. This is what we get. You know, you can't look like a real. Just as a Star Wars game with the most iconic class is nowhere. Look at this. This is a Jedi to BioWare and a Sith to the left. What is this? Look at this. What you will find is this. Skimpy outfits. Look at this. This is like, if you would see this in a Star Wars movie, people will laugh and be the biggest turkey of the year. Look at this. You would never see this in a Star Wars movie or TV show. People would laugh. It would be a joke. Like, what am I watching? What is... This is like so stupid. You know, people want to look like a real Jedi in Star Wars Tour, and they can't. And still to this day, there is no iconic armors of January 2015. You can't look like a real Jedi. Of course, here we have the cartel market. As everybody know in the Star Wars movie, Obi-Wan and everyone, you know, all their robes and, you know, crystals, you know, they buy them from the huts, you know, obviously, because, you know, that's totally in lore. Everything you got says cartel market. But on, like, I don't know where to begin here. This is like, I know I'm being a little, you know, but seriously, everything in cartel market, there is hardly anything good in the game being put out through the actual game. They didn't put the Revan's mask in operation to make it unique, a really awesome find, you know. They didn't put the Marco Ragnos armors on Korriban, and you can do the on new level 60 flashpoint, you know, that gives out incredible awesome lore armor. No, 99% of everything you get is in the goddamn cartel market. I have no problem supporting a game like most people if the content is good, but they put out almost everything in these gambling packs. You pay for real money. You can only get this with real money, and you transform it to, you know, CC cartel coins, so it's not, you know, actual money in game, because that for some reason is not legal or something. I don't know, but so in the only way other than getting this straight from the cartel market, and this you can, this is by the way mostly RNG. You know, you can be using hundreds of dollars, $1,000. You can get maybe half of what you want or nothing. It's, I call it exploiting, because it is. I'm pretty sure in the future we're going to have laws against this kind of exploiting, because the only reason this is not banned, you know, like illegal, is because the politicians, the older generation, doesn't know about this exploiting. You don't go to Disneyland and have your kids, you know, stand with slot machines. You know, it's the same thing. It's absolutely the same thing, but it's online in the disguise of, you know, cartel market. So there's a lot of emphasis on these things now in Star Wars Tour, and it's not good, you know. I mean, it's a lot of people are negative, you know. It's like you unlock things afterwards. It costs a lot of money to unlock things in the collection systems, and they don't put these cool things out in the game. They, you know, like the PvP armors and the PvE, they put some out and they take the old ones and reskin them and put an ugly backpack on a trooper armor and put it out back there. We've seen it before, and all the unique good stuff ends up usually in the cartel market for the most part, in these gambling packs. This is not good, you know. As I said, the only way, if you're not buying this stuff with real money, if you got a lot of credits in game, you can buy this off the GTN. Of course, most things in this are worthless crap. Nobody wants them, you know. So people delete stuff, you know, like everything is the same almost, and there's a few good items and almost impossible to get, and they sell on GTN for up to millions, from a few $100,000 to millions. So unless you're rich, you can't buy these things. So their way is, you know, this is how they support the game. The other thing is, I'm going to touch on with money, it's the free-to-play model. It's pretty much well known on every MMO site in the West, period. If you go and talk to any people who's played this game and tried it and went away, the free-to-play model in Star Wars Tour is a disaster. It's so bad. It's like punching you in the face while trying to play, like you see here. You can't even get one reward, a basic comm. This is why people leave. They can't get gear. They get some drops and they can't use purples. You know, we are paying for it. I mean, you can't even get these basic comms to buy mods to put in your gear. So we got a lot of people who leave this game because they are under leveled. Because one thing is the XP's sadly too low. The wonderful leveling experience with voiceover and everything is great, but they leave because broken armors on capital worlds. You see them all over the place. Broken armors. with the ugly green from the starter worlds. They haven't been upgraded. They have no idea what they're doing. They're dying, and they ask for help in chat. They have no good med packs, and they have this stuff hitting them in the face. When they get up here to level 20, like, you can't even get rewards because the free-to-play model is so punishing. It even reduces your XP, it reduces everything. Of course people are gonna leave the free-to-play model. The Star Wars Tour free-to-play model is the worst I have seen. Now there's a huge drop-off of free-to-play players from starting planets level up to 20 to 30. After that, people really just drop off on the planets. You see that the only reason they have such a huge retention is because it's the Star Wars names. Basically, they see the Star Wars link from other sides and, I'm gonna try Star Wars MMO, cool. But it's so punishing, and they don't understand the MMO mechanics. I mean, this is a game where still now, after 3 years, new players run around without the advanced class bag open up and equipped, because the game doesn't put it on screen. It's like pop-up saying, here, you've chosen your advanced class, take this and equip it. Like, especially in European servers, I yell at intels to new players that doesn't understand a word of English, open green bag, new gear. Like, they don't understand it. Like, oh, it's exhausting after 3 years. This is what I mean, BioWare management on these vital small things which could have made this game much bigger. They say they have more than 1 million people playing. I don't know if that's true, but I don't think they're lying. I mean, Star Wars Tour have good things going for it, but it also have a lot of bad things. And if one of those things is the free-to-play, they went free-to-play. That's nice. You can't go today with a subscription of a theme park. Theme parks are dying out. They are, for the most part, garbage. I played WildStar for 2 weeks. I left. It was horrible. and Star Wars Tour is much better than those games, but it still have those huge problems that makes them so annoying that people leave. And the free-to-play model, I mean, you pay for UI elements, hide headslot, etc. It's a disaster, and they really should change this for the better. I know this is not the greatest review. I know it's like, I'm a casual gamer. I don't have any real equipment. I don't try to be fancy. I'm just being honest. There's a lot of good things about Star Wars Tour, but it's the things that annoys people that make them leave or quit or don't support the game. And those are the quality of life things that I talked about that people hate. And they, when you feel neglected, you're just pissed off and you leave. I mean, you just want to enjoy the game. If they don't get feedback from the developers, from the community team, that their problems are going to be fixed, and that it's the little things that really makes people angry and leave. Like, it's been now for 3 years, and one of the worst things is the bad communication from the community team. It's been disastrous. I mean, they can't just talk to people on a human level. They said 3-4 times, we're going to start talking to you, but they don't. And as a PvP player mostly, I love PvE too many times, heroic bosses and raids, and the operations in Star Wars Tour is probably, like many have said, the best raids has been since EverQuest. I don't know, I've never played EverQuest, but they say so. It's really good. Especially like Eternity Vault, which was pure brilliant, awesome. But in the end, when people have to wait 1 year for new operations, that's pretty harsh. The best thing I've seen done recently by Star Wars Tour is they actually used Towley on Twitch to promote the game and stream. It was like 5,000-6,000 people there, and a lot of people came into stream and asked what game it was, and they actually got codes and they actually bought the game and started playing Tor. And the PR from BioWare have been pretty much total lacking. On, like, for Shadow, they invited a few people, but it's mostly for the people that already plays the game that get this info. They don't promote the game. I'm not talking about boosting a lot of money on TV channels. I'm talking about on MMO sites and stuff, and really talking to people. And as I said, if you revamp the free to play, fix the GSF, and support PvP and fix PvP competitive, because it's just like the FPS community. I've been there 10 years. The most casual players, when they see pros playing, really high skilled players, they want to play themselves. The high skilled players has always set the bar for everyone else. If they if the most hardcore people love what they do in the game, everybody else will come because it's so fantastic, it's so great, and it's so fun to watch. They want to play it themselves. Even on the most, this is why games like Call of Duty 4, which was the best Call of Duty, is still huge. Like, voted the like 20 best game ever. Like Battlefield 2 and all those games, the replay value was amazing because the PvP was so good, and that brought in everybody else. And then of course, you know, they forget all about the PC gamers and screw them, and now it's just crap consoles. Everybody left. It's the same with BioWare. They don't support the competitive community in Star Wars. I'm not talking about like Wildstar failed with hardcore rating. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about promoting the game in a good way so the competitive players will love it and stream it to everybody, and then everybody will see it and go, I gotta play this, you know, and they rush in and play it themselves. You have real brackets so the good ones don't crush the bad ones, you know, like you do in Star Wars Tour. It's a disaster. This is what it's been now for 3 years because there's no, the LO is bad because there's no cross server. The gear grind is hellish. It should never be a gear grind that hard, you know. Expertise in itself is an epic fail, you know. It's like you gotta, if you make sure that the game is awesome for the pros, the high skill players, they will play it. Everybody else who thinks they're good, because we have PvP players have huge egos, and then the rest of them comes flocking in because they want to play it too because it's so awesome. This is where they failed with arenas, with 8 versus 8, with PvP in general in Star Wars Tour, because Star Wars Tour had the potential to be the best PvP planet in the West, but it's a few things like short TTK etc. that ruins it. So what I mean is short TTK, you know, time to kill is like if you can 3-4 global cooldown anybody, it's not fun when you use 50-60% of the war zone flying down on that speeder. It's not fun, okay? This is why you should have a cap on crits, you know. Shouldn't crit over 9,000, you know. You should have at least 50-60k health, at least, everyone. And you don't bolster in Star Wars Tour. What a joke, it's so bad. Brackets 30 to 59 is completely broken. They don't fix it. People leave. Nobody plays mid-level bracket. It's broken. It's plain broken. It's destroyed. When you have people in 20-30k health and like half the expertise meeting full expertise people in 55 plus, they're gonna get completely annihilated in 2 seconds. That's not fun. People leave. You fix it from the beginning, you know. I could go on about this, but the problem is that, you know, the PvP team, I know they have a new guy now at Star Wars Tour, a new guy that does class balance. I hope he does good. I've seen some promising stuff now in January, but he should, until he gets and fix the Commando Mercenary DPS, which is a disaster, bit crap for 3 years. I have little hope, but we'll see. But they gotta fix these things, and they gotta work on it, because they can still actually salvage this, because there's no other good MMO in the West. They're all crap, you know. Tests all, Wildstar, all of this. WoW, who the fuck plays WoW after 10-11 years? It's not like EVE, which looks incredible and plays fantastic. WoW is crap. Get over it. It's crap. You play it because of nostalgia. Star Wars Tour at least still have the potential to be a join and easily get 2 or 3 million people if they do things right. And you can start by fixing the free-to-play model, which is so bad. Free-to-play sucks in Star Wars Tour, and that's just not me. That's pretty much everyone who says that. Fix that first. And when you fix free-to-play model, do some Q&A. You know, fix the little things. You know, like friends list and guild calendars and incentives and social things, and just why should people play and join with others in guilds, you know, do things together. Fix conquest. There are so many things about this game that need to be fixed, you know. The 12 times XP for storyline was a huge success, and you should put that in the game as fast as possible, because you got MMO people got a lot of addicted. They will play everything 2-3 times the storylines, you know, just to play it, and they love it. Get that in the game as fast as you can, because that was a big thing. And of course, I really enjoyed the houses you made, you know, the strongholds. They were pretty good, you know. I mean, I have never seen an MMO where, you know, I haven't played too many, but where you can actually hang up your trophies on the walls. You can show them off 10 years later when you're, you know, want to join a raiding guild and see, well, hey, look at these pictures. This is what I did in Star Wars Tour, which actually had really high skill, you know, good rating. and show off people. Look what I did. This is mine. You know, I can prove it. I mean, you know, that alone is awesome. You know, I mean, they could have done much more with the stronghold, but you know, I hated that they made a copy paste of each capital planet. But anyways, the strongholds were fantastic. They should get some things done on them fast. You know, get some training dummies if they want to. Just get some things on their terminals. You know, for daily, for weeklies. Give more weeklies and dailies for PvP players. Why not have 3 weeklies where you done 1 million damage, 2 million damage, and 3 million damage, like tanking and healing. So PvP players have a bigger reason to do the weeklies and dailies, and much more of them. Don't have these damn boxes. Have actual NPCs that's, you know, it's a trooper. You go up and he says, "Here are your orders for today, sir." You know, big Q&A, quality of life improvements to the game. Make the game alive, make it bigger, and just fix it and get it done, because people love that stuff. When they get in it, everything feels fresh. They love it in MMOs. Things like crafting so really need to be fixed. I mean, crafting was better in pre-launch. In beta, of course, it was dumbed down. I remember pre-launch they were saying you can modify your speeders with different components, make them faster than anybody's, and you know, cool stuff. It never happened, you know. And they dumbed down crafting huge in game testing. Everybody knows it. You know, you could post things longer on the GTN. That was great. I mean, they did a lot of cool stuff and they removed it. And like crafting now, it's a joke. Nobody wants to craft. It's like there's way too many materials at endgame planets. A bank is filled up with stuff for my biochem. I don't care. Same with everybody else. Fix crafting. You know, make crafting something that's really matters. So you can make unique things, awesome unique things that only crafters can make. Awesome armors, lore armors, what have you. And only them can make them, and they gotta put in time and effort so they will actually be worth something. You can't mass produce them. You know, really valuable armors. You gotta fix crafting. Crafting in Star Wars Tour is like, who cares? It's so bad, you know. The speeders you can craft, nobody cares. Nobody buys them. Like, even the walkers now are 150k on GTN. Nobody cares because nothing is special. Nothing is unique in Star Wars Tour. If you put out something to one part, you say, CC, buy it. Or put it in, you know, a drop for a daily. Nobody cares. Nothing is special. You gotta make things special. Because if things is special, people can show off and say, "Hey, look at what I did," and show off. People will show off, and the other people will go, "Hey, how did you get that?" Yeah, good luck. You can't get it. It's like nothing special in Star Wars Tour, almost, apart from a very few things, and that's they got it. That's also the quality of life improvement. You gotta fix the older stuff, and like, you know, like get Eternity Vault going again, level 60, and fix it. You know, make it super hard. As I said before, you got a lot of people on these starter planets. They come to Star Wars Tour because they want to try the game. It looks fun. It's Star Wars. They hope for an awesome experience. But a lot of those people drop off mid-level. You see people on these capital worlds screaming for help. They have no idea how to use interrupt. They haven't trained their skills. They die. They use the wrong companions in the game. The original companions are horrible. They die way too fast. It's like you're a Jedi on Coruscant. Kira dies in 2 seconds by the first boss, and you standing there screaming for help. They have 0 armor left. They can't progress. The punishment for dying is terrible on low levels. These are the things that makes new people leave the game. You have to make the game more friendly for new people, you know. Like the damn bag that pops up on the screen when they choose advanced class. This is why those people drop off mid-level. If they progress steadily and the game is fun and it doesn't punch them in the face every level, they will continue and they will play the game, and they will get to endgame and really experience the awesome endgame of Star Wars Tour. All the daily hubs, you know, the quests all over the place, Oricon, all these fantastic plans with fantastic stories. And you should make a lot of these stories single player too, like Oricon, Ops. All of these should be also made for single player, so people can enjoy the story but keep the hard group content as well, because you gotta have that hard group content as well. You know, you can't just care to only a lot of people like to group up, so you gotta keep that. You make everything the same thing with the low-level Flashpoint. Make all of them soloable, so people can enjoy them, because a lot of people just want to enjoy them for the story. And you get always that one guy, spacebar, and running ahead and dying alone against 3 bosses because they just want to rush through it, you know, like an idiot. So you gotta fix. If you fix the quality of proven liveness with the game that I'm talking about, like. If you fix those, people will be so happy. They will stay and they will play the game a lot more. You know, they will stay through the mid-level till the end game. They will stay. And the way you start is by fixing that disaster that you call free to play, because it's not. Look at Rift, what they're doing. They have incredible, good free to play. So just fix the game. Do quality of life improvements. And stop ignoring the community, because that's what you do best. Unfortunately, you ignore the community in a lot of issues, and you don't talk to people. So just, you know, as I said, I'm a PvP player. I've done pretty much all the ops too, but I can't really talk too much about them. I'm not good at ops, you know, like some people. I'm good at PvP. I'm really good. And I can tell you the only reason I haven't still left, so I'm trying to play preferred, but I couldn't do it because I can't play solo arenas as a preferred player with Warzone passes. Like, anyways, yeah, you know, people want to play this game, you know, it doesn't help that you forget about the things that people want in this game, and you can't just think like a corporate suit, you know, like a company, like look at statistics and we gotta do this now and maybe this and this is profitable. No, that's not how it works, not with Star Wars fans. And you would have kept most of those people here if you have done the right things from the very beginning. Those little things like good communication and, you know, taking care of people and not ignoring them, because if you ignore people and treat people like idiots, they're gonna leave. But you got a lot of good people working at BioWare, a lot of good people, so you know, just try to improve and see what happens. Now, for those of you who actually managed to listen to all of this with my microphone here, I want to thank you. But just remember, unlike some, you know, I don't just say everything is fine. You know, people like me, we say these things on the forums and, you know, on channels because we actually care. And people who care about something, they will voice their opinion. Like, most people do not voice their opinion on SWTOR forums. They make an account, they play. If they don't like it, they'll leave. They don't say anything on the forums. Most people don't care. That's what I'm trying to say here. Fix those things that people really care about, that you think is not important. Because I can tell you, if you fix those things, people will stay much longer. They will play the game for many years to come. Thank you.